The podcast universe has exploded with amazing content for everyone to listen to. And there are so many incredible shows with just not enough time to listen to all of them. So if you're asking yourself, what do I listen to? The answer is real simple. Thrive Loud is the must-listen to, can't miss an episode, gotta hear what's next, most fun, energizing, and inspiring podcast show you'll ever encounter. With hundreds of episodes of guests ranging from CEOs, entrepreneurs, innovators, thought leaders, inspiring speakers to amazing humans, Thrive Loud is the real deal. Listen in as Lou Diamond decodes what makes incredible people thrive. If you're a regular listener, you already know this. And if this is your first time listening, get ready to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and we have one of those today, an incredibly inspiring and amazing person who feels like he's on 100 gallons of caffeine, but he really isn't. He is a #1 best-selling author, global entrepreneur, and a filmmaker. He is best known for his groundbreaking documentary, Words of Art, starring Joel Osteen, Darren Hardy, Zig Ziglar, Mark Batterson, Dennis Waitley, and many, many more. A guy who has been happily married 26 times and working on number 27 as we speak. Thrive Loud listeners, Evan Money. Evan, how are you today?
Lou, I am tremendous.
Evan Money, we're going to give some clarification for those that are listening. The guy's been married 26 times. We want to make it clear that he has been happily married 26 times to the very same woman. You want to share a little bit more about this with our listeners.
Okay, so I thought you messed up the intro because I'm pretty adamant about putting the first, talk about, he's a this, he's a that. So the big thing I like to put first is that I'm happily married because that's the biggest, most proudest thing I have to offer. And my bride and I, we get remarried in a different state or country every year. So I have honestly been married 26 times, working on wedding number 27. And I'm here to tell you, Lou, and all the listeners, the sex is fantastic.
It's right. I guess that you're guaranteed honeymoon sex at least once a year, which is pretty spectacular.
And that's the thing. So for all the guys and gals listening, I was like, why would you settle for just one honeymoon? I was like, we got to repeat this process as many times as we can.
Okay, so let's just go to the beginning part of this. I assume the first wedding was a real wedding, and that was the real, I'm getting married to you. Yes? To your wife?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So so when you say getting remarried, the guys get excited about
the same guy, same woman. We got it.
Okay.
She's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And then the gals, and then when you say this, the gals panic because they go, oh my gosh, the first wedding was so stressful.
Right.
We had all, Aunt Martha didn't have a place, and this happened and that, and so-and-so got drunk, and then the uncle, right? You got all this stuff, right? So what we discovered was after the first one, after all that is over, they just become fun because you have zero expectations, you have zero rules, and it's like, oh my gosh, we can do this, we can go here, we can go there. But a lot of people have told me and shared when they go, well, gee, that's easy for you, Ev, because you're successful and you got all this money and you got all this hair like Lou and da-da-da-da-da. So I have to remind people that when we first got married, okay, so we first got married and we went to an event, and it was one of these dream big seminar type things. Dream big, yeah. And so we're sitting there in the audience and we're getting encouraged to dream big. And my bride caught the vision to get remarried in a different state or country. Now, mind you, the honeymoon hasn't been close to being paid off. Still paying on the rings, still paying on the dog food. I mean, we are underwater, and this woman is looking at me going, I want to get remarried in a different state or country every year. And I knew better than to steal my bride's dream. So I'm nodding on the outside, but panicked on the inside, Lou. Like, how are we going to pull this off? What are we going to do? So my initial thought was, living in Southern California, my initial thought was the only thing we could possibly afford would be a wedding in Tijuana, Mexico. Now you laugh, but for those that don't know, Tijuana, the wedding destination capital of the world, right? No,
Right.
Tijuana is known for one thing. You can do things cheap in Tijuana. So that was.
I think it's known for Spanish fly too, but that's not important right now. Okay.
Going old school Beastie Boys. I love it. I love it. East Coast. So that was my mindset, just so people know. I'm thinking Tijuana, super low budget, because we could afford to drive to Tijuana. I mean, we couldn't even afford plane tickets back then. We were way back. So I'm thinking Tijuana. I'm planning for this, trying to pull this off. And lo and behold, Lou, this is how amazing God works. So the first year before our first actual anniversary, we win a trip to Paris, France, all expenses paid for 2 weeks.
Oh, that's spectacular.
And our first renewal, second wedding, was at the Palace of Versailles.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, all 700,000 square feet. I mean, that's bigger than Costco, right? So I'm thinking Tijuana, and God's like, no, I got something better. Watch this. And so after that first experience of the Palace of Versailles, I was like, wow, imagine if I opened my mind to more possibilities. What could we do? So that's my Tijuana to Versailles story for our weddings there.
I'm gonna go in two paths, Thrive Lab listeners. First, I'm gonna do a little pit stop down a one-way street and stop and have to U-turn and come back, because I'm gonna have to go down one avenue here and talk about. You will take a look at the podcast art and recognize, while he might be claiming that he's follically challenged and calling me having a lot of hair, I give anyone who gives me that credit with as little hair as I do to give me the boost. But yes, I do have way more hair than he does. Okay. We hit the dead end. We turn the car around. We go back. And now we're going to head down the avenue I want to go. I got to tell you, I love this refocused re-energy, because I think it's applicable, as I'm sure you speak about, to so many great ways of thinking about renewal. And I wanted to chat about this with you in an open conversation. Look, you're setting goals each year, and I'm sure each year you're trying to you can't outdo Paris, but I imagine the idea of trying to figure out how to make it new and renew every year is a key thought process, or shall I say mindset, that you believe in and that I think you help others believe in. Can you take it from there, Evan, as I give you literally since you live out near the beach in California, the bump set now.
And the spike. I'm tapping my nose. I'm jumping up and down like a Mac icon, because you hit it. I mean, that is the ultimate setup, right? It wasn't even planned. That's why, just having a man crush on you already. So you are absolutely right.
It is.
It is. It's the hair connection. Yes. Thank you, Telly Savalas, for paving the way.
Paving, literally, with a razor. Okay.
Here's the thing, right? It's the mindset, right? So we're in two states. I mean, we can talk Tony Robbins 101, all about state, right? How do you change the state? So we're in two states. We're either in a post-honeymoon bliss, like, oh my gosh, that was such a cool wedding. Whoa, we had so much fun. Or we're in a pre-honeymoon excitement of, okay, what's the next one going to be like? What are we going to do? What can we do creative? So we're in one of those two states. So we're never in the, I'm going to complain about my spouse state, or we're never in the, I'm going to take her for granted state, because we're always, again, in one of those two, post-honeymoon bliss, or, oh, where's the next exciting one? And how can we do something creative? And like you said, Lou, there's no way to top some of the experiences that we've had. So it's all about, hey, what's unique? What haven't we done? And what we've kind of gotten into now is the culture side of things. So we're like, you know what? We want to go places where there's different cultures. So big on the list is India. We want to go to India and do an Indian wedding and ride the elephants. We're like, oh yeah, that would be so cool. And then we want to go do something like in Israel. I don't know what a traditional Israeli wedding would be, but we're like, oh yeah, that would be so cool. We could go over there. And then we want to go down to Brazil, because in Brazil, check this out. There's actually, it's very similar to New York, where you've got the waterfalls over there. You know, you got Canada
Niagara
on one
Falls,
side. Yeah. They kind of got this Niagara Falls-ish, but there's three countries connected. It's Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And they got these magical falls, and the waterfall is the borderline to the countries. So we're like, well, we can get married there and do three countries at once. Woohoo!
So, by the way, I love this, and we'll put the links in all the places to check it out. I actually love, my favorite one is between your seventh and eighth marriage, you see your wife is expecting in one picture, and then there's child in hand 1 year later in Germany, it looks like, and you're a 300-year-old windmill. So I first of all, I think it's brilliant. And I also think it's such an on-point message. And now I'm going to dive down an area that will be interesting. You're dealing with the wedding and you're planning the stuff. Please share with the listeners that you are human, Evan, and that you and Susan don't always have the honeymoon going on there. That while there's freedom and true love, you don't always see eye to eye.
Well, and here's the thing. I may lose a lot of listeners, but I'm going to preface it with this. You
won't lose any listeners on this show. We've already excited them to the fullest. They want to hear where this goes, Evan. They want to literally understand how this can possibly be, but also to understand, wow, we got to hear more. So
here's what I want to do. So I'm going to challenge all the men out there to raise up and stop settling for mediocrity in their marriage. Because we hear this term about greatness. So I've actually coined the phrase, creating a marriage of greatness. And you hear that in sports all the time, right? Oh, I'm going to be great. He's going to be great. Yeah, I'm going to go get my grind out. So I'm going to be great. Business, you hear about all the time in business, sports, all these different things about greatness. But no one ever talks about having a greatness in their marriage. And so for all the guys out there, I challenge you to raise the game and achieve the level of greatness in your marriage. So for me personally, the honest to goodness truth, Lou, is my bride and I, after having 26 marriages, we've been married for, and it's on the website, you can see the countdown. We've been married for 22 years, 21 days, 13 hours, and 22 minutes. We have never had a fight, Lou.
Wow, really?
We've never had a fight. And here's the thing. It's because I respect her too much. And I've made that decision. Now, I have teenagers. I know you got a senior in high school. I got a sophomore and an eighth grader. I have lost it many times, and there's a whole saga on me yelling at my kids, but I've never yelled at my bride. And so we're in a place where we're in that state so much where I would never think about yelling at her because I truly am. We're either in a post-honeymoon bliss or exciting of planning the next one. So it's not that I'm amazing and it's Superman. It's just I'm able to stay in those states by making it intentional and saying, hey, I'm going to have this marriage of greatness. And it's just, again, Lou, you've got guests on your shows, all this stuff. You look at people and you go, wow, you made it to the NFL. That's amazing. You had a great career. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is impossible. There's Olympic athletes. It's everywhere. It's just a matter of intentionality, but so many people are lost and confused putting their intention on, oh, I'm going to be a sports hero. I'm going to be a business guy. I'm going to make all this money. And they don't put any intention of greatness on their marriage. So ladies, there's a pressing need for you to step into greatness in your marriage. And when you do so, everything else falls in place and you get what Zig Ziglar coined as the home court advantage. Yeah. Who doesn't want the home court advantage? Because when things are rocking at home, when you're having amazing sex, guess what? Business is booming. Everything else is going well. The kids seem to be behaving better. So it all starts with that home court advantage.
I want to flip it around and ask the question, your wife, Susan, does she try to raise her game in the marriage as well?
Yes. And we talk about that often of just, I don't want to be left behind. And this is the key thing. So I tell people all the time, you can go through life together as a married couple, or you can grow through life together.
Nice.
And that is what makes all the difference. And I see couples in the personal development world make this critical mistake all the time, Lou. The man's off going to seminars and doing this, and he's leaving his bride at home. Or the bride's reading all the books and she's doing all this and honey's just watching ESPN. It's about growing together. And at this stage with kids and businesses and life and all this stuff, there are times where, again, I have a chance to go to an event, but I won't go if I can't go with her because there's no point me outpacing her. And so it's about saying, hey, how do we grow together? So we literally, Lou, we read the same books. So I read about 10 books to my brides too, but there are books where I'm like, okay, honey, drop everything. You got to read this. And so we'll both read a book together. We'll go to dinner and talk about it. And then the other books that I'm reading, I'll just kind of give her the synopsis of. And other books that she's reading, she'll kind of give me the synopsis of. But when there's ones that are like, okay, this is our core values, you got to do this. We just read a great book about aging called Being Mortal. It's a game changer for anybody that has aging parents. oh my gosh, it was just like, but we're on the same page because we're reading the same books. We're watching the same movies. It's all about that intentionality that makes all the difference.
So this isn't devil's advocate. I want to go down an angle because I think I'm in agreement with this tactic. I like it. And I think our listeners do too, because they recognize the benefit of that. But we do have differences, right?
Yes.
So let's hit that.
Yes.
Some like here, you just talked. My wife and I actually do like most of the same entertainment movies and things that we like, and no different than maybe you reading more books than what your wife are reading or certain content. I'll listen to more podcasts or certain things that might not be in her bailiwick. And there are certain, like I love Quentin Tarantino movies. She does not. Okay. That being said, give me some.
I'm on her side, by the way.
That's each.
I'm not a Quentin guy, but I get it. Reservoir Dogs. I mean, I'm with you. Come on.
So the question, I was actually more recent than he's gotten better over time. I love all of them, but I appreciate all that stuff. So wait, here's my question.
Okay.
You're not obviously always the same in everything. What are some of the things that you guys differ on in your tastes?
Okay, so opposites attract. So we're polar opposites for sure. So the key that we kind of stumbled on and early on was, our marriage was good in the beginning, but then we decided like, well, how do we make it great?
Yeah.
How do we step up? And so I was trying to figure out these key tools, and we kind of read all the different marriage books and all the different stuff. And there was so much stuff out there. We finally niched it all down. And of course, put it finally in our marriage book because people kept asking us, you need to write a marriage book. You need to write a marriage book. And we're like, there's all these other amazing marriage books. Just read all 10 of these books. And I realized, sadly, most people don't read. So we're like, okay, we need to kind of condense this down. So the key things for us, Lou, is number one, the bedrock of everything was learning each other's love language and actually speaking it. Mm. Here's the thing, Lou. This, I'm talking to all the faith-based listeners out there too. There's a huge difference between agreeing with God and doing what he says. There's a huge difference between understanding your bride's love language and actually speaking it because you don't feel like it because they did this and this and this. And if she would do this, then I would do this. That's a lose-lose, non-greatness mentality. The greatness mentality is, I'm going to do this anyway because I love you. And eventually it's going to come around, but I'm not going to wait about, if you do this, then I'll do this, and da-da-da-da-da. And my favorite all-time Gandhi quote is, if we all practice an eye for an eye, Lou, the whole world would be blind.
Blind, yep.
So do you want to have a blind marriage? You just want to walk around blind, right? No thanks. So it's about actually speaking the love language for the love language sake. And this was a journey for me. It wasn't like I, discovered this and, it's been great ever since. It's still a journey. So like dishes, my bride's key love language is acts of service. So she loves it when I do the dishes. I hate dishes. I'll do anything but dishes. So for about 15 years, I tried to negotiate like, whoa, could I do this instead? What about this? I'll do this. I'll wash the car. I'll do this. No, dishes. I finally learned and discovered to fall in love with the process, Lou. And what I discovered was, gosh, when I do dishes, we have great sex that night. So rather than but here's the key mindset. This is the big one. Yeah. This is the big one, Lou. No, this is the big one.
I'm with you.
So we talked about saying, at the next house, we're going to get like a drop-down screen so you can watch football, which my bride does not enjoy. So you can watch football while you're doing the dishes. And I came to the conclusion, I was like, no, I don't want to cheapen the effect. I want to do these dishes. And now when I'm washing the dishes, Lou, I'm caressing this dish like I'm caressing a body part of hers. Every one of these dishes is I've got sexual healing going in the background when I'm washing dishes. I'm just like, all right, let's get it on. Here we go. So it's like this new state of mind of like actually enjoying falling in love with the process of filling her love tank. So that's a big one there. And then the mindset behind it, not I got to hurry up and get this done so I can get what I want. It's, hey, I'm going to fall in love with this process. And then the next thing we understand was the basic personalities. And I think the majority of your higher caliber listeners and most of the people that listen to your kind of podcast, they already get the 4 core basic personalities. But it's understanding those and understanding my bride's the detail one. She likes everything in its place. She likes everything sorted. I'm the non-detail visionary. Woo! We go to the grocery store together. I'm juggling the fruit, and she's standing there frustrated going, can we get the stuff done here? What's going on? So she finally had to realize, like, oh, he's not trying to frustrate me. So she will now clap when I juggle the fruit and then say, okay, let's move on. And so we've definitely had to journey through that. But it's all about the love languages, understanding the personalities, and then going old school and really understanding the strengths finders, which is now Clifton bought it and they have all these different versions, but really understanding your core strengths and just falling in love with that person and understanding their quirks aren't designed to upset you. That's who that person is, and how do we love them through that, rather than, again, going the tit for tat and waiting for them to do something for you before you do something for them.
It's a strong message, although I'm going to pull the car over again as opposed to this dead end, and we're going to throw out the visual of me watching you wash the long stem glasses. So I'm throwing that out the window for our listeners. Okay, but I think you're right on target here. And look, it's never easy. And
that's right.
As someone said, it's work, and even in those little minor instances, what you just remembered, I wake up every morning. And I married someone who's from Colombia. So I make coffee every morning because you remember the old Hulk thing, don't make me angry. You wouldn't want to see me when I'm angry.
Yes.
This goes along that you would not want to see my wife without coffee. So,
okay.
But someone says, oh, you're doing that just to make sure that she's nice. Like, no, I actually enjoy making coffee. I actually like doing it. I like the process, and there's some sense of it. So I think what I like about what you're talking about is you're tackling each one of those tasks in every aspect of what you do, and recognizing and bridging the differences together with that common love language. That's sharp. I like that.
Yes. Yeah. And I will be, again, to the listeners, because it's like, you don't just get off the bus and hit the NFL, right? I mean, there's a process, and there's, again, all my
unless your name's like Herschel Walker, but that's not
But with that, other than the Herschels, right? Old school, love it. Other than the Herschels, right? Or the Bo Jacksons, right? For me, I had to romance the process before I could fall in love with the process. So a lot of people think like, oh, you either, in or out. It's like, no, man, you got to step in and like intentionality, saying, okay, dishes, how can I learn to love these dishes? And again, that was a long time of romancing the process till I finally fell in love with it. And then once I fell in love with it, I was like, what took me so long? So
I have, I'll get down this avenue. So I'm having all these conversations like I'm driving a car fictitiously. I have no idea why, but I'll stop that for a second. And I want to hit one other point. How do you guys treat the relationship with your children?
So this, again, I may lose, like I said, we may crash and burn some of the listeners here.
You ain't going to lose anybody here.
Okay. So
just that one guy who's trying to pull over the road and throw up a little bit, but it's okay.
Yeah. So for us, my children, whom I love, son, we have one homegrown and one adopted, but love them both. They're incredible. We've got incredible adoption stories. It's a whole podcast in itself. But my children are temporary residences in my home. And they knew that from day one. It's like, I love you and you're temporary. And so I hearken to the mama eagle, the classic story. The mama eagle births the babies, hatches them, does everything for them. But as they grow, she starts taking the feathers out of the nest and making it more uncomfortable. And so she's constantly making the nest uncomfortable until she actually is the one that nudges them out. She physically pushes them out of the nest. Get this. She pushes them out of the nest, Lou, before they're ready. And so we've kind of subscribed to that of like, hey, you guys are temporary and we're permanent, because I've seen so many people, you've heard it all the time. You've got friends, associates, whatever. Oh yeah, I just live for my kids. Everything's for my kids. Yeah, I'm doing it for my kids. I'm like, what about your spouse? What is that saying? Right? So I'll share this one factoid that I learned on the back end after I discovered this, but I'll give you the discovery and then the story. So I have discovered through research that children would rather know, for their security and well-being, children would rather know that mama loves daddy than they would like to know that they're loved themselves. And that was so, I couldn't believe it. I was like, how is that even possible? So children get more security, more love in knowing that mama loves daddy than them knowing that they're loved. And so before So again, true story. I came to dinner. I like to be very intentional with dinner. We average about 6 days a week sitting down with dinner with our family. And we're actually thinking about Facebooking it live just for fun, just to see how the behavior changes, right? But so our dinners get pretty wild.
As long as we don't have a camera of you washing the dishes, I think we're totally fine. Yes! Evan, we do not need that visual.
Yes!
I just have this visual of you like basically making out with the chafing dish.
Love that.
I apologize. Continue.
Yes. No. I'm with you. So I like to be intentional at dinner, come with a quote or a Bible verse or something to think about and share it at dinner time. So came to dinner. My son's about 8 or 9, Lou, and you remember, you've been there if you got boys. So
remember it.
Okay, so I'm sitting down and I said to my son, son, you know that I love you, right? And with this, only the attitude that you can imagine from a first world boy, he says, yeah, Dad, you tell me all the time. So I'm like, okay, that's another discussion about appreciation, but okay, you know your love. So I came back, and I don't know where this came from, but I snapped back, Lou, with, well, how do you know I love you? I could be lying. And his attention shifted, and he looked at me, Lou, and you've seen it. All parents know. You can see when the gears are going, right? When the kids' minds are like, tick, 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 and he was fully engaged. His gears are going. Steam's coming out of the ears. He is thinking, like, how do I know that he loves me? And do you know what he said, Lou? You ready for the answer?
Yeah.
He said, I know you love me because you're married to Mama. That's what he said. And I'm like trying not to cry at dinner and be like, oh, okay, son. And that's when I knew. I was like, all right, we're on the right track. So whether or not they're in therapy in 10 years going, yeah, they were just getting married all the time. And I'm okay with that. I can live with that. And I can live with the suitor coming from my daughter and, first date, her saying, well, we don't believe in dating, we believe in courting, but, getting to know her and saying, her going, oh, okay, so, how many weddings do you want to have, right after our first one? And, setting that bar really high, being like, yeah, I got to go. So I'm okay with that. But that's not saying right or wrong, this or that, but that's our mentality, is that children are temporary residents. We are permanent and forever. We still love them. We still want to spend time with them. We want them to live close to us if they choose, but it's my bride and I are the priority.
I like it. And I think it's definitely, look, it puts the perspective of where things are, and interesting to see when you get to the point that you become a grandparent, what that's all about.
Yes.
We want the video on that, but I want to go into a direction that I think our listeners who appreciate this and have been able in their minds, having listened to the show enough to know how to translate this mindset that you're thinking about into everything they do.
Yes.
Appreciating your colleagues, your workers, your partners, the people who work with you, all that. You could see where the parallels jump in, and it's a great message, Evan. And
let me jump in and add to that, because you're really hitting something, Lou. Here's the thing. As someone who enjoys control, I like control guy. The mindset is the only thing you can control. So this greatness mindset is 100% in your control. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for a degree. You don't have to wait for this, wait for that, wait for the market to turn around like we were talking about off air. Wait. Well, it's 100% in your control. You can shift the mindset right now. Right now, you can change that. And again, in order for things to change, you have to change. In order for things to get better, you have to get better. In order for things to grow, you have to grow. And so it all starts with you and taking responsibility and realizing, let's go old school from a kid, He-Man, I have the power. You have the power right now to shift your mindset and create greatness in any area. And I'm here championing the marriage side, because once you get that dialed in, then finances, then relationships, then health, and all that falls into place. But it's 100% in your control listening right now. There's nothing you have to wait for. No permits, for all you builders out there. There's nothing. You can do it right now.
My wife is going to love this episode. Okay. She's going to love this one. I love asking this question, Evan. You, as the audience can hear, you're kicking on all cylinders. You're thriving in your marriage, your sex life, your dishwashing.
Yes.
When you are having what I like to call maybe an off day, when things aren't kicking fully on all cylinders, what practice do you seek? Or I think we know what individual you seek out, but I think we want to know, what practice do you seek to help get yourself back on the thriving track?
Now, great question, Lou. Great question. So I hearken back to, because I did a movie with him, and he was one of the first ever personal growth things I was exposed to. But again, hearken back to Ziglar talking about, I'm either up or I'm getting up. And that's really that mentality. But also, it's such a loaded question, Lou, because it's like, okay, well, there's this button that you push and then bing, you're back, right? I mean, that's kind of this thing, like, I just do this and it works. And some people go, oh yeah, just meditate and it works. And I'm like, oh, that never worked for me. So what I've discovered for me, it's all about the pre-preparation. So I share with my, the people that I coach, I share with all the, let me get rid of that.
Yep. That's
gotta edit that out. So I share with, on stage, I share with the people that I personally coach with. All of this stuff is that if it's not a lifestyle, it's never going to get done long term. We look at all the areas that people struggle with, right? Like, again, you people, oh yeah, I'm a multi-billionaire in business. I got this, but my health sucks, right? Well, because that's not a lifestyle. But your business is a lifestyle. Or, yeah, my wife and I, we got a great marriage, but we have no money and we don't have this and this, because it's not a lifestyle. So it's all about making it a lifestyle of, how do I keep a lifestyle to where when I do have those days where it's not going like I want it to go, right? Or I do have those times where I get knocked down, I'm instinctively already up before I got knocked down, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So it's a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle of pre-prepping, so that it's not this, again, let's, with the coronavirus and all this nonsense, people are, oh yeah, I've got my water, I've got my this, they're already prepared, right, for whatever, right? So, let's harken back to classic, amazing coach John Wooden, right? When opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm a sports guy. I love sports, right? You can see it, right? If you got to think about it, it's too late. If you got to think about, do I cover that guy or that guy? It's too late, right? You just have to, boom, go into it. So if it's a lifestyle, it's boom, I get knocked down. Boom, this happens. Boom, I've already recovered. I'm already going back. So it's just this lifestyle of either staying up or getting up. So you never get into these, oh my gosh, I hit rock bottom. What do I do? It's, we've already prepared for that. We've already laid the foundation. So it never gets to that point. So I hope some of the listeners can understand that. And that comes all down with intentionality and how do we stay in the mindset.
Evan, let's do this. Let's take the admin part of the show here. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, upcoming events, things you want to promote. This is your chance to plug it. We will put it all in the show notes. However, it always sounds better when they hear it from you.
Yes, I would love for people to come visit. You can not only see my normal non-hair, but you can actually see old school pictures of me with hair. And you can see every one of my bride's weddings at evanlovessusan.com. That's evanlovessusan.com. And then for those, there's a fun, cool video, if you just scroll down to the beginning. But if you keep scrolling through all the weddings, my bride and I have chosen to give away our book at the end. So it's not an ebook, it's a physical book. A physical book will get mailed to you. And you just click the link and go from there. But it all starts at evanlovessusan.com. So it's a one site, one thing. And then for those that are like, man, this is exciting. I want to get around you. What's going on? My partner and I, we do a great event for entrepreneurs that are looking for greatness in all areas of their life. And it's called Grow, Thrive, Revive.
Like the middle word there a lot.
Yes. So we do cool stuff like we'll have an event, but we're going to race Porsches. We're going to zip line Pikes Peak. We're going to swim with the dolphins and the whales. We're going to do something super cool while we're learning and growing and thriving and reviving. And we typically do them at 5-star events around the United States. But you can go to the basic website. It's basic. So some people are like, dude, what's going on with the website? Well, it's not really about the website, but it's called growthriverevive.com. And you can check out some of the previous ones. And then that usually happens every September. We're gearing up for the next one. So we typically limit it. It's maybe 15, 20 people. So super low key. It's not all about numbers. It's about getting really intimate and really getting down into, hey, how do I get greatness in every area? And some of the entrepreneurs we have at that place, Lou, are incredible. And we're able to learn so much in this, again, tight community. It's all quality, no giant stage hype, and many of that stuff is just digging in and growing. So growthriverevive.com and evanlovessusan.com.
You're so low key. Can you pump it up a little bit more? I don't know if our listeners can get to it. Okay, we're going to head down Fun Street here. Not that we haven't been having fun from the very beginning, Evan. Let's start off basics. What's your favorite movie?
I got a lot, Lou. I got a lot. But you talk about Fun Street. I just got to throw this out there, that joy is the true measure of success. So for all the faith-based listeners out there, the more you dig in to the ancient Hebrew and Greek scriptures, you'll find, if you uncover, it's all about joy. So, from a sports analogy, my favorite, the most dangerous player on the field, the one who's having fun. So it's really about the joy and unleashing it and getting out of your own way. But wow, man, I would love to do like a 2-week episode on favorite movies. But one, I think
pick one that comes to mind.
I mean, like other than Star Wars. I mean, come on.
Star Wars is spectacular. There's a lot of Star Wars movies. Yes.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. But I'll tell you one, a unique one.
I'll give it the real caveat. Okay. What movie connects the most with you?
Man. There's so many on so many different levels. I'll give you a few. I just have to explore. Give you a few. So we'll go old school. I still show them in some of our marriage events. I still show clips from Pretty Woman just because that is such you could learn. If you want to do a deep dive on the love languages, and everyone knows the scene of where they go out to dinner for the first time, the big fancy dinner, and you can watch every love language. It's a great visual to do that. But Pretty Woman is still like an epic. Another one that really, really speaks to me on so many different levels is The Ultimate Gift. For anyone that has kids, The Ultimate Gift is, I mean, it's a little different than the book, obviously, but such a great story for first world, right? And appreciation and, how do we, round this curve of actually appreciating what we have. And The Ultimate Gift is spectacular. But I'm a movie guy. I love messages and movies. I'll tell you another last fun one. Don't watch the American one. You got to watch the French one. It's called Intouchables.
Oh, okay. It's one down.
You can learn so much from watching this, and beware. There's lots of language and all this stuff, but it was made. It's a French movie, and you get the translation, but it's called Intouchables. And then they made an American version, but the French one is and it's hilarious. But it gives you just such a unique perspective, and I learned so much from looking at that. There's business lessons in there, life lessons, self-image lessons. Intouchables. It's spectacular.
Evan, as it relates to a song that you love to hear that gets you pumped up, I've seen, whether it's the song that you need to be announced to as you're coming on the stage to get people excited, maybe something that just is your workout routine. Is there a jam that Evan Money has?
I got a lot of jams, man. That's another one, right? Like what area? What doing this? What?
How about a recent jam? Something of late that you've been listening to that's like, hey, that's my new jam. I'm old school. I got a lot of the old school stuff. There's some classic, there's a whole underground movement of this, but like old school 80s worship music. There's some classic stuff in there. I love some of the, I'm pronouncing his name totally wrong. I apologize. It's a French name. My bride speaks French, but I'm on the other end of it. It's it's one of those IEX last names, Rubidoux or RubaX. He does a lot of the instrumentals for the NFL films. Oh, okay.
And that's what I do sprints for part of my workout, like 100 meter sprints uphill. So that's what gets me up the hills, listening to some of those NFL, some of that stuff. So those get me going. And then I'm some old school Marvin Gaye too, man. I mean, Sexual Healing, dude, that's a magical. There's something in those, again, 80s stuff. And then I'd say Human Nature is another one. Michael Jackson. You got some Michael Jackson, right? I mean, those are just like, you hear it and you're just like, oh, yeah. So those are a few for me.
I'm smiling at your lister because I knew what I was in for when the interview started, and I know I can match it, but it's just spectacular to see the positive energy you got going on. This is the question I'm going to ask you. First of all, I want to talk about on branding. Share with the listeners your logo. You have your own little iconography going on, which I think is pretty ingenious. That is your initials and name.
Yes.
To talk to the listeners about this.
Yeah, here's what's interesting, Lou. We're all spiritually gifted at seeing everybody else's stuff, right? I mean, like the instant you see somebody, you're like, oh, dude, come on, man, you need this, right? But when it comes to our stuff, right, we're just like, what? What are you talking about? And I think the same comes with branding, right? Like I can help anybody with branding clarity. Oh yeah, it jumps off the page, right? But then when it comes to your stuff, you're like, oh, yeah, what should my logo be?
But the reason for that, Evan, and I say this often to the people that I speak with, and that is the sharpest knife can't shave its own handle.
Yep. Oh, I like that. So you ask about the logo, and that was forever. Just like, I don't know what I want my logo to be. So finally, me and my bride sat down, and she drew this scribble on a napkin, and I was like, I like that. I kind of like that. It makes sense. I'm like, and the more I started looking at it, the more it spoke to me, and then I went, I hired, you love this, Lou, I hired a guy that does logos for Fortune 100 companies. Like, add the comma and the zeros. That's what he charges, right? And I hired him. I knew him, and he said, okay, I'll cut you a break. I'll take one comma off, right? I was like, okay. And he came back to me, Lou, true story. He came back to me a month later. He goes, Evan, I got to refund your money. He goes, I don't have it, bro. He goes, I don't have it for you. And I was like, okay. I'm like, if the pros do, the 6-figure logo guy can't do it. I'm like, I guess I'm not going to have a logo. And then my bride and I sat down. She scribbled this thing out. I went to one of those logo places where I think it was 99 Designs or whatever, where you post it and then you let everybody give their version. And I combined like 3 versions from different people and shaped it and kind of worked it. And then it was like, that's it. And it was so close to what my bride scribbled. It was great. And so
I'll describe it to the listeners, and then you could give a definition. So, okay. For those that are looking, the E in his name, Evan, is almost in the shape of a wave, and the M is a mountain, and they're kind of merged right together. So, any more significance in this?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. So you can go to evanmoney.com and you can see the cool logo. But it's interesting because we live in Southern California, born and raised. Both my bride and I, so that's a unique one. And I still remember the day we did it. We decided to go skiing, spring skiing, in the morning, and then this is pre-cell phone. My buddy called his dad, and he goes, "Oh man, the surf spot's cranking. Get down here." So we left the mountain and went surfing that afternoon. And at the time, I didn't realize, like, you know what? There's only very few places in the world you can do that. So we live by the water. I love the water. The water speaks to me. Negative ions. Me and the water are just like, yes. And then we live in Southern California, so we're surrounded by these beautiful mountains. And there's something about mountain air. All of the people that have ever been, you get to the mountains, like when we did our Grow, Thrive, Revive at Pikes Peak, you're in the mountains and there's that air. You're just like, yes. So we love the mountains, love the water. And it just happened. The initials worked, and it was like, that's my lifestyle. That's what we do. We're in Southern California. This is what we're all about. And it all came in a logo. And last funny story, Lou, I'm at an event, talking to this lady. I hand her my business card, which some of my business cards actually have pictures of my bride and I, and then some of the cards have like the cool logo raised and embossed and all that stuff. So for all of those people that ever want to go to an event, spend the extra money and get the business card that costs you like $2 a card, because cheap business cards just don't cut it.
They come off cheap.
Yep. So I got the super nice, multicolored, raised, embossed, and she looked at the card. She dropped her microphone. She went, "Oh my gosh, you're having money!" Ah! And I'm like, "What is she doing?" She goes, I saw a friend, a connection who built my website, showed my website as an example of his work. She saw the logo. She said this, Lou. She goes, "You have my logo." I was like, "Okay, but it's my logo." But yeah, I'm with you. She goes, "No, I saw that logo. I freaked out." It's like, ah. So there's a fun logo story for you.
I like it. And I'll let people know I'm a big fan of when those things come on brand. I look at that, I go, oh, that makes sense. I would say to this would be interesting. And I was about to look this up. Have you and your wife ever done one of your weddings in Vancouver?
Oh, we have. Okay. You say Vancouver, BC, I'm assuming, right?
Yes. And the reason I bring that in is the first, I have a friend who lives there, and he and his wife and his kids live in Vancouver. And first time I ever flew into Vancouver was a game changer. You literally see mountains, snow-capped,
yes,
and then the ocean.
Yes.
And I remembered landing saying, I had never seen anything like that. And that was really the visual that I had when I saw this.
Okay.
Just connecting.
Yeah. But you'll love this. This won't surprise you at all. Our Vancouver wedding was the first wedding we ever had in the rain. So that won't surprise anybody.
Well, it does rain there a lot.
Yes. Like 320 days a year or whatever. But what's funny is we have actually one of my favorite wedding pictures is from that, because as we had the wedding, the whole thing, and we're kind of walking around the town with our hosts and all that, and we came across this, and it's on the website. We came across this heart-shaped bicycle rack, and so we created just one of these amazing. It's just one of those pictures that just happens. They catch it at the right time. So one of my favorite pictures is actually from Vancouver of us at the heart-shaped bicycle rack. And so, yeah, fond memories. And here was the thing, right? We got out there and they were like, our hosts were like, do you want to hopefully wait till tomorrow when it's not raining? We're like, no, we've never been married in the rain. Let's do it. So that's the fun you get to have when it's not, this is the only one. Oh my gosh. So we're like, let's do it in the rain. It'll be great.
Evan Money, on the money. Literally just oozing excitement and energy. Have you had fun here today?
Lou, this has been man. If you told me, okay, Lou, we got to get the Skywriters out. We got to get the APB out. If I knew you were going to be this cool, Lou, I would have signed up 10 years ago and paid the 6 figures to come on your show, because you're amazing, Lou. How do we get more Lou out there, man? We got to get you. You got to come to one of my events. We got to get you on the West Coast. We need more Lou, baby. Come on, Money and Diamond. You can't go wrong.
I was going to say there's something there. So we'll figure it out. The ball. Just the fact that I end up being the one with the hair in this conversation, I think Shirley has made it all. I think our listeners have not only gotten enough about logos and how to give their all in a marriage, possibly a new way of cleaning the kitchen. I think all of the above have made this one of the more fun episodes I've had in a long time, Evan. So I got to thank you, because
glorious,
this is totally energized. So
glorious. No, and I'm serious. A lot of people are like, that's stage talk. I don't, at this age and stage of my life, stage talk is over. It's about, we got to get real. We have to literally get strip the stuff away, get real. Because again, for any Kobe Bryant fans out there, right, there's no guarantees. So life is too short not to have a great podcast. Life is too short not to emote what's inside you. Life is too short not to have joy. So Lou, you're bringing it, man. I love it.
Evan, I think you'll like the way that we end the show, but I wanted to thank you for coming on today and bringing your A game, bringing the money to the table. I think it's been awesome. I know our listeners appreciated it. And thanks again, man, for coming on the program.
Absolutely. Again, a joy for me, Lou. Thank you.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. This is for you, Evan. Be brief, be bright, be gone.
Woo!
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.